So I said in a comment that I must explain this. Not that I have to, I must. Forbidden knowledge and archaics are like they're like two things in a spectrum on opposite ends. And this is just an explanation of what I said, that forbidden knowledge is not better than archaics and vice versa. And I say that because it's from things, from concepts, from variations of confusion, like forbidden knowledge, that allowed archaics and other information, other creative information or knowledge to wake people up have come into this world because of this. It's the duality of our nature. You cannot have one thing without having the exact opposite of it. These things, these concepts, they're meant for discussion. And it's only through discussion, research and study, for those of us that need to research and study, that these things can be put into correct action. Because knowledge is power only and only when put into correct action. Other than that, it's just being really good at Jeopardy, you know? Or what is that game, that trivia game? It's like a board game. You have to answer these questions that don't really matter. And that's what knowledge is. Knowledge is not power. It's just things that don't matter until it's put into discussion. Because these things come from the mind, from the pressure of a question that is pushed down and becomes a concept, an idea. And these ideas, I call them, as Ra calls them, variations of confusion. They must be discussed because that's the natural way that they're going to go to the throat center, or chakra, if you will, because they have to be discussed. That's the nature of the throat center. It's to communicate, it's to express these ideas with others, to talk with others. Because we cannot have an idea and say, oh, I got a great idea, and then we immediately go into action, because it will be false. It will be incorrect. You know, it'll be like mathematically 1 + 2 = 4. You know, that's not correct. There are two other awareness or awareness centers or places in the body where things are pushed up. And there's a pressure pushed up that goes to the throat center to be expressed, communicated, and then put into action. Once we go through this whole communication, this expressing of our ideas, of our energy, of our emotions, of our knowing in the moments, in the now, you know, in our energy, in our pressure to complete something, to start something, have others complete it maybe. You know, it's like our willpower. Our willpower needs to be recharged. It needs rest. Our willpower is directly connected to the ego in this material world. And me, my ego is going to be expressed consistently at the same thing. Ego is not, how can I put this? where we feel good about ourselves because we have some material thing, and it makes us feel better about ourselves over those that do not have this material thing. That is not the ego. In my expression of what the ego is like it's an archetype. It's a way in which we move about this material world, a way in which we master the material world, or go about achieving things in this material realm. The ego is how we express our self-worth, our value. It has nothing to do with a feeling better than, there's nothing wrong, and there's nothing right. There's only correctness and incorrectness. And in order to know what is correct, we first must know what is incorrect. Speaking of the not self, because there are some of us who have a consistent and reliable way in all of the centers, These vessels that we have, that we reside in, we're not hostages to or prisoners of. These bodies are Ferraris, they're Lamborghinis. They're a supercharged, V12 sitting inside of a body, a charger body, good tires and brakes, the right fuel, the correct engine management system, suspension, airbag seats, steering mechanisms, safety restraints. But we're operating these bodies, we're handling them, we're mistreating them and abusing them, like if they're some, Honda Civic with just some headers and an intake. We are intelligently designed to evolve, and not evolve it as in we came from monkeys. No, that's bullshit. We may call it the monkey mind and things like that, but we are designed to grow. What we are all experiencing, that is what it is to become human. What it is to be human. As Jason said, we are immortal souls in a human experience. I believe it was Jason. A lot of people are coming into that, and that's correct. We're not here to identify with it and compare it with the other, as in one is better than the other. All these people that you see here, each and every single one of them has something to contribute to the whole. Each and every one of them is special. Each and every single one of them is Batman or Superman or the Flash, or Tony Stark, Captain America, Black Widow. Each and every single one of them are special. And this is just because this lie that I heard this falsehood, this concept to keep us away from who we truly are, I heard in The Incredibles. Is when the the villain at the end, he wants to make everyone have superpowers. Because if everyone has superpowers, and everyone is special in that sense, then nobody is special. That's the concept that he put in there. I stopped watching that movie, I watched it many times, but I was still, operating in the not self. And as I became aware, as I started to awaken my sacral and make the mind my ally, to take authority away from my mind making decisions for myself, that became so clear. There was times when I wondered, why didn't I see this before? But that's just the nature of my being. The nature of having a truly open mind. I don't have any specific or fixed way of thinking about something or figuring something out. There's many ways. It's just like many people who just can up and sing with no training. They have many voices. They can express themselves in many different ways because they have an open throat center. Those with a defined throat center, they have a fixed way of speaking, of communicating, of expression, of communicating with inner worlds and outer worlds. There is always the opposite. If you have acid, then there must be water. And when we look at that, in its fundamental, we have both. We have acids inside of us, and we have water. And both are needed for us to operate correctly. So, to have forbidden knowledge, and I'm not getting on Mr. Billy. I say that because I had never spoken with the man. I'm not getting on Mr. Billy for putting out the information that he does, because it must happen, especially now. Now at this time, at this time in this closing of this cycle, where things are about to change in ways that we really can't even see. We think we see it. Some of us do see it. But we all going to see it, through our nodes. Our north node and south node. Some of us are going to see it the same, because we have the same north node and south node, Some of us are going to see it differently. And that's the beauty of it all. If we all are like-minded, using that expression without saying, having the same mind as energetically, if we are all like-minded, things would get really, really boring, especially me, being the sun being in Gemini, the lovers, and then also having one of one of the gates in my emotion center, the solar plexus, one of the design sun is in Pisces. And when we look at our calendar, the way it's presented to us here in the program, in this holography, we see that there is a duality in the zodiac. This duality, is imprinted on us too, especially those of us that have those two, those two things that are opposite but are on the same spectrum in the zodiac. Gemini, of course, we have Castor and Pollux, and I always think of that movie Face Off when I say that. Pisces, we have what? We have these two little fishies moving in the yin and yang. You know? And the yin and yang, feminine and masculine energy respectively, has nothing to do with whatever reproductive tool that we have between our legs. Masculine, feminine energy has nothing to do with gender. I had to put that out there. I have to. Because sometimes that gets mingled together. That gets confused. And confused, and I'm not going to get too far off the subject here, making my point. I just looked at the word confused, and I had to stop saying it because I had to break it down. Because con, C-O-N, is kind of like, I remember learning that in high school Spanish. It's like with, or means with. And then fuse, well, we know what a fuse is. You know, we can have a fuse on a firecracker, on an M80. We light the fuse, you know. But when something is fused, it's brought together, it's put together, it's twisted together, it's mingled together. Confondere. I think I'm more than likely saying it wrong, but that's what it means in Latin or Italian or something. You know, and it means mingled together. Confused. So masculine and feminine energy is getting mingled together with our sexuality, or our lack of being able to understand sexuality. And that has very much everything to do with 70% of us here on this oblate spheroid. But if it wasn't for things like, these concepts, these concepts that keep us stuck, of course, no, I misspoke there. There must be those here. They're not evil. They're not, part of the people that rewrote history, to make themselves out to be the one and only. They're not people that are bad, but there must be those people that say things or do things to keep others in the confusion of what is correct and what is not correct for them. Because out of that, there will be those that speak to release others from the mingled togetherness, from the variations of confusion, and taken as truth, or taken into action without discussion, or done so that one feels better than the other. You see, as I began my deconditioning of my cells, it's proven by modern medical science that every 7 years, our cells within our body, I'm talking about cells in the micro, that they shed what they were and take on what they now are every 7 years. Yes, this is truth. This is a science. Just as the science of differentiation. Hello, doggy. Just as the science of differentiation is a science, is a way in which one can take some type of data and observe it. It's repeatable, it's quantified, and then it moves from being a theory like the Big Bang even though, there's many concepts out there, including human design, that still use the Big Bang as a foundation, as a fundamental stepping stone, just like Archaics has the flat Earth as a fundamental stepping stone. So that's something to be, you have to take the next step. You can't stay there on flat Earth. It gets redundant after a while. And growth never stops. Growth never becomes stagnant, because if growth does become stagnant, and it does become stagnant in some of us, it was stagnant in me, and I know what it feels like, then entropy, death occurs. Now at this time that the cycle of planning is closing, and we approach the cycle of the sleeping phoenix, all of these things that kept us in the not self, that kept us in unawareness, that kept us believing that we were just this one thing when we are so much more. All of these institutions, they are coming to an end. The teacher, Ra, he also spoke of how there's going to be a great blow to the human reproductive system. The way we reproduce is going to change. The way that we flirt, or we have the way that we are intimate is going to change. The way that we have sex is going to change. The way that we relate to each other is going to change. I believe it was 1615 to 1687, sometime around there, maybe even earlier. I forget the date right now, but if we go back to the times of in Chronicon, we go back to the times of the Humans Den, where Archaics begins their Chronicon, and then counts down to the calendrical, the calendrics where we see that how the calendars were changed and things were added that didn't add up until the present. Those human beings, the pre-flood human beings, they were not nowhere near the human beings that we evolved from. Back in 1781 is when we beings began to emerge, and we had to emerge from that because there was an awareness that happened within humanity. That's why it's no longer the time of homogenization. It is a time, of individuation, of differentiation, so that we can allow another awareness center to emerge. Not within us. Some of us will feel it, some of us are feeling it now. But in the next, Ferrari or Maserati type human beings, type vessels, in which a personality, an experience or soul pathing will incarnate. If they are even incarnate, we don't know what these beings are going to be. But it's because this movement through space, and I don't mean above the clouds. I don't mean up there. Like how that vehicle right there is moving. It is moving through space. It is moving through this liquid that we breathe called air. It's invisible, and not seeing it, but we can feel it. It affects things. How is it real if we don't see it? How is it affecting things if it has no form? Because it does. It is a liquid. But it's because of this movement through space that archaics came about. Had to. You know, it could have been a pressure to put something into the world. You know, we all, you know, hear Jason speak, you know, very freely about how he became the man that he is today. And it could not have happened any differently. You know, if he would have gotten out of that car and grabbed that young lady and took her with him, you know, we would not have archaics. We would not. All of those things that happened to you, Jason, and I believe that he said this too, you know, is why he was able to, you know, be the highly individuated alpha male, his words, you know, that he is. Here to give to humanity, give them something, you know, that is correct for them. I was reading one of, or listening to Ra's lectures, and then I have these aha moments, these times when things, they just, you know, like, wow. And the way it works is we can't force it. I don't force it. It just comes. And it's that there's a question in the flat Earth community. Why keep the knowledge, or why keep the way our realm is, what it truly looks like? Why the lie? Why the lie about going to space and all this other stuff? You know. And it came to me, I wasn't, you know, as I said before, I wasn't, you know, trying to figure it out. You know, that's a waste of energy, and it's a waste of emotional energy too for me. And that is from, if we don't know where we are, how can we know who we are? How can we know? How can we have an identity? How can we have love for oneself? Because that's where it all begins. That's where, you know, the projector aura that is new in the aura types. You know, the projector, you know, their aura is just focused at the G center, because that's where it is. And especially now that the cross of the sleeping phoenix, you know, those gates have, the gates of the cross of the sleeping phoenix have much to do with the sacral center and the G center. If I'm not mistaken, I can be. I'm okay with being uncertain. And I don't have to have certainty. I speak as the highest expression, my highest authentic self in the moment. I have to say what I say in the moment, because later I won't be able to say it. It's not, I'm not designed that way. You know, I was born in this world of fear. I was born in this world of not holding on to things that were not good for me. You know, I was born into this world of avoiding confrontation and truth. I was born into this world of hold on a moment. I was born in this world with trying to be certain, or trying to get others to think I'm certain. You know, I was born into this world of answering everybody's question. Because of my open centers, that's in any of our open centers, that's where the not self will manifest. That's those centers will, you know, wind up having the mind, which is an outside conditioning thing, to run the life, and energetically it cannot. I am a manifesting generator. with open emotion center, meaning my emotion center, my solar plexus, it's energetically not connected to my sacral, to my root, to my throat. Therefore, it's open to conditioning. You know, the information that I get from there, because I do have emotions, I do not rely on those. You know, I don't give any attention to those, other than I'm within my own aura. Then I know that whatever is coming within me is from me, or from a definition of these luminaries in the sky. Whether or not that be a hologram or actual oblate spheroidness, there's energies within this construct that are affecting us, because we are of this construct, you know. And since we're operating in this program, we might as well operate correctly in this program. Whether or not there is a flesh and blood body outside of the simulacrum, that our consciousness, our awareness goes back to when we exit this construct. You know, whether that's true or not, the Maya is based on rules. Just like the rules of a computer program or a computer system, they operate in a certain way. We are programmed in a certain way, but we have the awareness and the willpower and the energy to move above that. Like the Ancient One said in the character, the Ancient One in Doctor Strange, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, said, you know, we're not here, and don't quote me, we're not here to destroy our demons, you know, we're only here to recognize them and live above them. You know, the not-self never leaves us. It's always present. It must be. It is the foundation. It's the foundation onto which, you know, our highest expression, our highest authentic self, you know, stands upon, is built upon. You know, all of that conditioned talk, all of that brainwashed talk of redefining themselves and they getting rid of the old and, oh, that's not who I am anymore. Well, yeah, that is not who we are anymore. Any of us, as we you know, move through space. But it's always there within us. So do people change? Do we change? Well, genetically, energetically, we changing as the moon above, you know, goes round above us. You know, but genetically, the base of who we are, of how we're imprinted, no, that does not change. There can be some mutation, some empowerment, self-empowerment. But people, we don't change. We grow. We evolve. Evolve does not mean change. Evolve means grow. And we evolve to a point where, you know, this evolution cannot continue. So it brings about new forms. Now, when these children come into the world, and most of us, if we haven't exited the construct, we'll be here to see it. You know, they will be very, very different. It will frighten. We will be scared, because that's part of the basic fears. You know, the fear of tomorrow, the fear of death, the fear of responsibility, the fear of authority. The last two, which I was as a theme in my open splenic center. You know, those children, we will know when we see them that they will be very, very different from us. And as more of them are manifested into this world, you know, there'll be a growing fear. And that fear is, will they do to us what we did to all of the beings that were born before 1781? Will we destroy them? These are all things, and it seems like I'm going around in circles, but to me, I see everything is apparent and connected. And I know the archaics knowledge, what Jason, went through, and why he's near now, even how I came upon archaics. I know that is something that is correct. It's correct for me. Not because of the Chronicon and the study and the research and study it did, which is very well respected. I respect that, because there's only about maybe 300,000. I'm stuck on 300,000. There's only about maybe 500,000 people, in this realm that can do such a thing. But I came to archaics. I came into the room of archaics because I just happened to see, and I didn't see the preview of the picture. I happened to see a video on YouTube, and it said square peg divergent. And I've never seen any other, YouTuber with divergent in their name other than Divergent. The gentleman who has the pictures, the videos, and he's speaking, he's speaking what he knows, Now, I listen to him. My open mind, is nourished by hearing others, external authority. Because I'm not going to come up with anything original. I don't have a fixed way of thinking. And so I thought maybe that this was another one of his channels, and that just put a different name on there to keep the information that he put, in this channel separate from his regular Divergent channel. And I was about to leave it, and then I seen archaics, and it took me back to my my plur days, peace, love, unity, respect, as a raver. And I was like, that sounds interesting, And the name archaics, I was like, man, I bet you that's some goth, half-dead looking emo chick, with the eyeliner, and to me that's not a bad thing. That's physically that's an attractive thing to me, because I'm still a raver. And so I go ahead and clicked on it, and I was like, hey, it's either going to be something that will align with me or not, and both are okay. And so I clicked on it, and then I was like, oh, this is not who's this dude, and who's this other person? No, this is not what I thought it was. But I listened, because I couldn't pull away from it. And as things went on, and Square Peg went on talking about, the equation that she learned from archaics, and doing predictions just from what Square Peg had on her butcher board. I get that from a military, I think a military movie I watched or something like that. But just because what she had on her board there, from what she had, and I didn't even go to the archaics channel. I spent the whole night breaking that down, seeing if it was true, because something within me, I just had the energy for it, and I knew what that was. I'm not saying something within me as like, I know what that is in this moment. But back when I first came upon this, that wasn't even on my mind. I stayed up all night going through these equations, doing my own research and study as much as I had available to me. And I already had, I was doing some research on the first, second, and third U.S. banks. And so I put in the equation, not the full one. I think it was, I just used pi and phi. I didn't do the division until later, but I was using the multiplication. And yeah, it came out to be true. When the first U.S. bank came, and when it failed, when the second U.S. bank came, and it failed, and when the third U.S. bank came, the one which we are, enslaved to this day, but it's not called, the third U.S. bank. It's not even called the bank. It's called the U.S. Federal Reserve. I think that they have bank on there, or maybe they took it out. But, we look on our currency. In fact, while I'm sitting here bullshitting, let's pull out a little bit of currency that, I have. Just look at it real quick. And, you've seen this, everybody knows it, but since we're talking about it, let's just take a fucking look at it. I don't like cash. Because for me, awareness must become deeds. Awareness must become actions, It's part of who I am. Of this unconscious soul, of this unconscious awareness, that resides within, and this conscious unawareness that is the voice you hear. They're both in alignment with, once I know something and I take it in as in my, following my own decision-making strategy and authority, I must put it into action. If I take it within, it's going to be expressed without. So I don't like cash. I do not like having to pay fees and taxes, on something that is not worth nothing, but yet we have to pay interest on that nothing. And let me move away from that, because I'm very, very passionate about injustices to anyone, because an injustice on anyone is an injustice for all of us. The archaics, from then I was hooked, and as correct for me, for maybe about 3 months, it was nothing but just taking in the knowledge of archaics, It didn't even faze me, when Jason spoke about his past, which was correct. Because you cannot put out something so profound, something so nothing like this has been put out in the world before, where people have listened to it. We have these mediums in which we can express ourselves. Nothing like this can be put out in the world, and then the world not fight back, because the world does not want to change. The world wants to keep things the same. And I'm not talking about Gaia. I'm not talking about the plane which is under our feet. I'm talking about the masses with the silent M. Those that must maintain control because they know best. They know better, because their God is better than our God, because their thing is better than everybody else's thing, and because they are able to amass all of this wealth and finance and ownership that The rest of us are all goyim. The rest of us are all cattle. We are not worth nothing. That's where where we've been MK Ultra. Because the majority holds the house, the minority still have the exact equal share and of say and right of our direction, or the direction that the people are bringing to the table, just as the majority. The 49% just have just as much say as the 51%. It does not mean that, hey, there's more of us than you, so you shut the fuck up. No, that's bullshit. There's none of that, because since I am like this way to you, then you must be that way to me. I had to explain that to one of you could say he's a mentor, but he's a different being. He's a projector, and I'm a generator. And those concepts, when I brought those concepts to him, it's very, very hard to grasp. It's harder to grasp for those of us that are elder, that are past our Chiron return, the age of maturity, 50 years, Just like human design is for children, because children are the ones that will inherit the earth. The meek will inherit the earth, That's what meek means to me. It means innocent, it means young, it means very, very impressionable. Not meek as in a state of mind or a state of being or a state of awareness. Well, state of awareness, no. That's actually, what children are. They're in a state of awareness where they're very, very open and impressionable. Holy crap, I'm at 47 minutes. But I want to say is that that's how I came into human design. And it's almost this. Well, I see it in almost the very same way that I came to archaics. And that I was looking up tarot on YouTube, and I seen one of the tarot readers had a short. She had a short, and it's like, oh, let's see what she's saying in this short. And it turned out to be so old, that short. It wasn't a current one. And I clicked on it, and then she talked about something that she wanted to bring into her channel. And she whipped out this book. It happened to be from one of the men and women that had studied with Ra-Uru, Keaton, Carolyn and Keaton. And it was human design, and I seen that, and I could not stop looking at that book. And I kept looking at that short over and over again until I no longer had the energy to look for that short. And I went and started looking for that book. And 2 weeks later, I was enrolled in a Living Your Design class. And yeah, this past January marked my third year of deconditioning from what I am not. And it's the same way that I explained that I came to archaics. That's how I'm all in as much as I can be. And for those of you that are here, in the annexed kingdom of Hawaii, you probably see, some familiar places, and you see where I live at, and yeah, I'm all in with human design. I do a lot of self-study, and I do the self-study with our kids, and I'm all in as much as I can be. When I'm able to be in it more, then I will be. But now it's not a matter of procrastination or hesitation. It's a matter of things that really don't matter to me, but in order to have the things that we need, and there's only three, the three basic needs, and into which everything else can fall under, and it's food, clothing, and shelter. We have to have, that those worthless loans that we pay interest on that we didn't ask to take out. And there was a little bit of there is a fear of responsibility, because anything and everything that any person puts out into the world, especially on like in YouTube, Facebook, we're responsible for these things. We're going to be called out by some or all. We're going to be called. We answer the call, and then we're going to be called out. If the expressed awareness does not conform with the deeds. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with constructive criticism, because that is how I grow. That's how we all grow. Well, some are not designed to grow in that manner, but I'm an empath, meaning like I said, my open solar plexus center. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and it took me 51 minutes and seconds to say that. Well, to all of you that made it this far, thank you for listening. If you want to like or dislike, if you want to subscribe or not, it's all good, it's all okay. But I'm coming upon a time where we have this expression of being on a roof. Let's just use this tall building right here. You see how big that building is? Let's just say I'm on the roof right here. I'm sitting on there. I'm looking out in the world. Being by myself, not really fucking with anybody. Maybe like a handful of people that I allow into my aura, and me theirs. And I'm just seeing everything that I went through, and I'm seeing it out in the world. And I'm putting together my own synthesis, so that it's going to come a time when I have to come down from there. Now I'm either going to superhero jump, or I should say jump in superhero land off of the roof. I'm either gonna trip and fall off the roof and break my leg, or I'm gonna be thrown off the roof and possibly die. Because there's more things than just 88 degrees from the time of the physical birth, and looking at some centers and charts, and roads and tunnels, and energetically how the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching aligns with the 64 codons and the chemicals of the human DNA structure. Is more than just how our evolution of computers is very similar to the evolution of mankind. And no, I don't say womankind, because mankind is all of us. Mankind has nothing to do with gender. A kind of man, what mankind is, just to let you know where I stand on the whole subject, because I'm very passionate about it, and I just want to smack a lot of people, whether it be the misogynistic men, which there are very few, lessening, I should say, or the misandrist woman. They both don't jive with me because they're both saying the same thing. And keeping us stuck in a battle of the sexes that it's not healthy and it's not correct. You know, you don't take a moped and compare it to a van. You know, what you do is you take the moped and you put it inside or in the back of the van, and then there's no terrain that the two of those vehicles cannot conquer. You know, and if you guys, you smart asses out there, want to say, oh, what about a boat? There's water. Then substitute the van with the boat. But you get my meaning. That's what the union of man and woman, or the union of two, with balanced masculine and feminine energy in both. That is what we're here to do. We're not here to say men are better than women, or women can do anything that men can do. That's not true, and men can't do anything women can do. What do you know? We're not here to say, you know, men have been oppressing women, because I know oppression. I know it very, very well. I know it better than most people that have a realization, you know, of I have futility, you know, living with knowing that realization may never occur, and then having to deal with living in that futility or something similar to it. I'm still working with it. Maybe in some other videos I'll talk about how it's an interesting thing how that hexagram of futility and the hexagram of grace, the day of my birth, and other things that I learned through numerology. You know, how I see it as all relates to me, and not just to me, but it all relates to the number 11. And number 11, us Geminis, those Libras, those Pisces. So 1 + 1 = 1. Because the union of man and woman is the coming together and creating something of two halves coming whole and creating something that never been in the realm. That's what children are for. So peace to Whitney Houston and whoever wrote the song, but the children are the future. Because a child, you take a 5-year-old child, start teaching them human design, archaics, and other profound knowledge, and 6 months to a year, they'll know it better than any of us. You know, they'll be those children inside the oracle's apartment. You know, speak about my aha moments of the Matrix. But aloha, and you guys stay alert, stay alive.